Hello, my name is Gav Cross, and I'm a storyteller. It's the best job in the world. I get to travel and meet brilliant people like you and then offer them a story, which is what I'd like to do today. And what's fantastic for me, anyway, about this story is that Port Sunlight invited me to come and see an amazing piece of art. Tod Hanson made Box Room, a, a, a huge and beautiful installation. And I went with my friends to look at Box Room and to look at Port Sunlight and to have a walk round and go to the museum and the art gallery and look at the houses and admire the gardens and come up with a story. And this is the story we came up with. The Port Sunlight Mice by Lisa Williams and Gav Cross, told by Gav Cross, inspired by Box Room and Port Sunlight. This story, I suppose, takes place quite a long time ago. I mean, if it was on telly, like live, it would be all sorts of black and white. Then again, they probably wouldn't have any tellies because they didn't have tellies when this story probably happened. If it did happen, it starts not in Port Sunlight. It starts quite a few miles away from Port Sunlight in one room, one little room that was very full of mice. Yes. And they lived there. And it was a room full of love, a family of mice, a small room, lots of love and laughter. And at this time of the morning, snores and wheezes and squeaks, obviously. There they were, piled up, cocooned and cuddled together, this family in their sleep. Some people and mice are morning people. I don't think I am. Mary was more of a morning mouse than the rest of her family. This morning she started to awake at that beautiful time where it's just before you open your eyes and the day begins. Who knows what's going to happen today, but for now, Mary was comfortable, warm, loved. She opened one of her little mice eyes, and she saw right in front of her whiskers, more than saw, she sniffed her brother Alfie's little micey paw right in her face. Oh, Mum! Alfie stuck his paw right in my face again. It stinks. At that point, that woke up all the other mice, and there was some wriggling and some jiggling and some morning yawning and some moans. What kind of morning mouse are you? Do you jump up with a brisk tail and a wiggly whiskers and a smile, or are you like Alfie, a bit slower and grumpier about the mornings, or are you like Martha, who jumps up and starts singing and dancing and spinning, or are you like little Billy, with his big yawns and eyes that can hardly open? Well, this morning, Mum, as usual, had been up for quite some time. She'd been over getting a little parcel together. As the hustle and the bustle and the pause and the wiggles and the jiggles, this is a noisy little room. Plip, plop, plip, plop. You could barely hear the raindrops dripping with all the laughter and grumbles that was taking place. There were those drops of rain dripping into the room, as they sometimes did, or just outside the window from the broken drain from the rooms above. Oh, I've got lots of room now, you've all got out. That was the voice of Dad. Dad? Daddy Mouse? What was he doing here? Daddy Mouse normally was up far earlier than anybody and off to work, and he would come back very late. They wouldn't see much of Daddy Mouse at all. "Daddy," said Mary, "what are you doing here? Are you late for work? Are you going to be in trouble? Are you poorly?" All the little mice asking all their questions, and little Billy Mouse trying to snuggle back into bed. "Oh, don't you worry," said Daddy Mouse. "Oh, no, I'm here, because we are going on an adventure." "An adventure? We're going on an adventure! Mum! Dad says we're going on an adventure!" "I love adventures!" "Adventures!" said Billy. "I love adventures!" "What's an adventure?" "Mum," said Alfie. "Mum, will there be, biscuits on this adventure?" said Alfie. "I mean, I don't think any adventure's like a proper adventure unless you got biscuits." "Oh, Alfie, I've made a little packed lunch for us to wrap up. Cheese crumb sandwiches. And I'll see what I can do about a biscuit crumb or two." With that promise, whiff, if you will, of a biscuit on the horizon, there were some very excited little mice pitter-pattering around the floor. "Now," said Dad, "it's a big adventure. We're going to Port Sunlight." "Port Sunlight? Port Sunlight? That's not a real place, Dad. Port Sunlight sounds like it's a magical place in a book." "Port Sunlight? What's a Port Sunlight, Dad?" Don't know what a Port Sunlight is?" said Alfie to Billy, because, of course, Alfie is the bigger brother, and, lots of bigger brothers and sisters and siblings are, some of them can be a bit, not all of them, not you, not yours. "I don't know what a Port Sunlight is." "Well," said Dad, "it's a place that's so wonderful that, well, I got something to tell you. We need to pull together all our things and take them with us, because it's not just an adventure for today." "I'm very proud of your dad," said Mummy Mouse. "He's got a job in the factory. A factory in Port Sunlight. And because of that, well, it means we all get a new place to live." "That's right," said Dad, "that's right. And so that's why we're taking all of our things. We're going to Port Sunlight with its beautiful green grass, with its bandstand, with its... Well, and we won't be coming back." There was a shocked silence. "We won't be coming back? But what about our friends? What about our home? I don't like ventures anymore," said little Billy. "I don't want to go." "Don't worry," said Mum. "We will have the best of times. I promise. There's lots ahead of us." And tenderly picked him up and gave him a cuddle and a kiss. And holding him by the paw, they left their narrow, cobbled street for the last time. They were going on their adventure on a train. None of the children had been on a train before, let alone a train that was going to go under the river to the Wirral. "What's a Wirral?" said Billy. I don't know. I don't know what allotment is. I don't know what a Wirral is. I don't know what a mooseum is," said Alfie. "Don't worry. You soon will." Obviously, there was the bustle and the jostle who's going to sit next to the window. That was all settled when Mum produced some amazing cheese crumb sandwiches, and peace finally fell when little tiny biscuit crumbs were shared out. And after what seemed like quite some time, they got to Port Sunlight, and the first thing they saw outside of the station houses and green, so much green, green grass, blue skies. Mum, I can see the sun is shining in the sky, because where they came from, if you looked up on their street, you saw a lot of grey bricks and red bricks and house and a little thin strip of sky, smoke, really. But here, so much sky, so much green grass, and so many beautiful little houses. Over there, said Dad, over there, where you can see those chimneys, that's where I'll be working. I'll be making soap. Soap, said Alfie. A visible shiver went down his little mouse spine and twitched his little tail. Soap. Yes, Port Sunlight soap, and there'll be plenty for you. Soap. As they walked down the street, they could see in Dad's paw a key, and they stopped outside a little building at the end. Dad put the key in the door, turned the lock, opened the door, looked to Mummy Mouse, swept her up and carried her across the threshold, laughing and smiling louder than any of the children had heard for quite some time. With their whiskers twitching, their eyes wide, they all walked in. It's a beautiful room. There's a table, said Mary, and a range. A range. Ranges are amazing. Oh, they're like a combination between a cooker, an oven, a fire to keep you warm, somewhere to warm the water for a cup of tea or a tin bath, somewhere to dry your clothes, somewhere to make the soup, somewhere. Don't do all of those things. You don't want to kind of be ironing your pants and making the soup and dipping the you want, but it was a very useful thing. All of this we can keep for as long as I'm working on that factory, for as long as I'm keeping those conveyor belts going, keeping the soap coming out. Great big blocks, we're going to cut them down, and I'm going to make sure they get put into a box as colourful as a poster for a fun fair, smells as sweet as the places all the ingredients come from. And that soap is going to put this roof over our heads. It's a lovely room, said Mary, but it's a bit small. Where's the bed going to go? Oh, don't you worry about that, said Mum. Go and look upstairs. Upstairs? We've got an upstairs. You mean there's not another family upstairs? Oh, no. This is all ours. They didn't stop, and that's when all the little mice children just climbed the stairs over each other to get to the top, and they found a room with a bed, a big bouncy sprung bed, and that's where they were, all jumping up and down on the bed. We got a new bed. We got a new bed. Mum and Dad had followed them up, and Mum politely asked the girls to come out of the room. Why, Mum? Well, this bedroom is just for the boys. That's not fair, said Mary Mouse. That's not fair. There's so many things that we girl mice can't do that the boys can do. I'm going to make sure that changes. I'm sure you will, said Mummy Mouse. But for today, you don't need to worry, because you get your own bedroom. What? We don't have to share. No. You don't have to share 2 bedrooms. 1 bedroom of all the boy mice, or the girl mice in their own room, or the siblings running between, laughing tails flipping in the air, whiskers wiggling. Wait a minute, said Billy. Will you be sleeping with us? in our room or with them in their room? And this was a question to Mum and Dad because everybody shared their bed together in their old house, and Billy was already thinking of it as their old house. He changed his mind very, very quickly. "Oh no," said Dad, "we've got our own bedroom. 3 bedrooms. We got our room. We've got a scullery. And we've got our own inside privy." Alfie said, "Our own inside. We don't have to I think I need to go now." Down the stairs Alfie ran, never so happy was he that they could. There was a knock at the door. Now, in their old place, if there was a knock at the door, Mum and Dad Mouse would sometimes ask the children to stop what they were doing and play a game of hide under the bed. But not here. Not today. They went downstairs and opened the door, and there was little old Lady Mouse, and under a cloth she held a pie. "Hello, I heard you were coming today. I thought it would be busy, so I've made you this pie. It's full of all the good things from my allotment. Just pop it in the range, warm it up. We'll get to know each other better with a cup of tea. How about that?" Mum and Dad and this lovely lady, oh, they became firm friends. But just behind her, as she came in, there was a little pair of ginger whiskers and a spiky ginger-haired mouse. "Hello, I'm George. I've been living here ages. I know all the places. I've got a bike. You should come and ride on my bicycle. I'll tell you everything you need to know. I know everything about Port Sunlight." "Mum, can we go on riding on the bike with George?" "Yes, you can. Come back for tea." And with that, in a gaggle and a guggle and the noise and laughter, George's bicycle and several mice were up and down the paths. A couple of times they even cut across the grass, laughing. George stopped and said, "We've got to be careful, because if the bobby catches us, well, he'll chase us and he'll huff and he'll puff and he'll tell us off." But he's quite sweet, really. Up and down they went. At one point, I think they broke the mouse record for how many mice on a bicycle in Port Sunlight at one time. And there was a fall. There was a tumble and a fall. But here in Port Sunlight, they fell off their bike onto the soft green grass, not onto the hard cobbles that they had in their street just that morning. They returned home following the smell of the pie, and they all gathered in a huddle and a cuddle, satisfied, smiling. Dad was starting the following day, but he wasn't going so early, and he wasn't staying so late. They'd get to see more of him, and it's what he wanted more than anything else. "Mum," said Alfie, "on the wall, I saw there was a great tin bath." "Oh, yes," said Mum. "I'm already started to warm the water for after dinner, Alfie. We've had a chat, all of us. We think you should have the first bath, what with those stinky toes of yours and this big pile of Port Sunlight soap we need to start getting through." "Oh, no," said Alfie, with a smile. The thought of their own little tin bath in front of the range in their own house, well, who could argue with that? And it was Alfie that opened the first box of soap, even though he didn't quite like the tickling of the toes when they scrubbed his paws, his stinky paws, clean. The Port Sunlight Mice by Lisa Williams and Gav Cross, told by me, Gav Cross, inspired by Port Sunlight and Tod Hanson's Box Room. I hope you enjoyed our story. What's brilliant about Port Sunlight is they've got this amazing museum and gallery, and it's just an amazing place. And I think it's the starting point for many, many stories. Why don't you pop down, have a look at some of the pictures and the sculptures and in the Lady Lever art gallery, or look at some of the photographs and hear some of the stories in the museum, and come up with your own Port Sunlight inspired story. And if you do, I'd love to hear it. Thank you very much. And I'll see you again soon, I hope. Bye bye.